Welcome to Virtual Dine, Learn, and Move, brought to you in partnership with Prince George's County Health Department, Suburban Hospital, University of Maryland Capital Region Health, and the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, Department of Parks and Recreation, Prince George's County. Dine, Learn, and Move is designed to promote healthy lifestyle habits. Over the next 90 minutes, you will have fun, get up, and move. Learn everything about healthy eating and engage with our chef while watching a cooking demonstration. Let's get ready to dine, learn, and move. Welcome to
Greetings. Welcome to the May session of the 2022 Dine, Learn, and Move virtual experience. My name is Kate McGrail, and I'm with Suburban Hospital. On behalf of the Dine, Learn, and Move collaborative partnership, I'm here tonight supported by a team from the Prince George's County Health Department, the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, Department of Parks and Recreation, Prince George's County, and the University of Maryland Capital Region Health. We're so glad you could join us this evening to learn about this month's topic, eating for mental health. Whether this is your first time with us or you're a returning participant, we hope you have a wonderful experience tonight. To help you with that, let's go over some technology tips. We're using Zoom webinar for tonight's session. This means all participants will remain on mute throughout the evening. You will be able to submit any questions throughout the session by typing in the chat box, which you can find at the bottom of your screen. Let's test your skills out now by typing your zip code into the chat box. This will also help us learn more about where you're joining us from tonight. All right, they're starting to come in. Great job. That means you found your chat box on your Zoom platform. Coming in all across the county. And a few elsewhere. All right, keep it coming, keep it coming. And we'll try one more Zoom feature by taking a poll. Tonight, we'd like to know how many of you are joining for the first time and how many are returning. In one moment, you'll see a poll icon pop up on your screen with a few questions. Please select one choice and submit your answer. All right, so we're going to give this about 15 more seconds for everyone to find the poll screen and submit their answer. And then the results will pop up on your screen. And we see that most of our participants, just about 74% of you, 75% are joining again. So thank you and welcome to our new participants. We hope you have an awesome experience tonight. All right, so we have a full lineup for you tonight as we cover ways to make time for both physical activity and healthy eating. So on the next slide, you'll see our outline for the night. First, we'll have Sakina to share some wellness tips on the importance of fitness and mental health. Then she will lead us in a live Zumba workout. This segment of tonight's program is brought to you by the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, Department of Parks and Recreation, Prince George's County. Then, in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, we have a special guest for you from Prince George's County Health Department. Dr. Roderick Wellington is the clinical supervisor in the Behavioral Health Division, and he will speak to us about the 5 pillars of mental health. We're also excited to welcome back our favorite registered dietitian, Sherma. Tonight, Sherma will tell us how what we eat affects our mental health. That segment is brought to you by the Prince George's County Health Department. We'll wrap up our session with a live cooking demonstration from Chef Natalie as she creates some mouthwatering, healthy recipes you will want to try for yourself at home. This segment is brought to you by our health system partners, the University of Maryland Capital Region Health and Suburban Hospital. So before we turn our attention to Sakina, we'll share some reminders. We're using Zoom webinar, which means we will not see you while you move with us. But please continue to follow the safe reminders we've set for you. Grab your water, clear your space so there's nothing to trip on, and move at your own pace. Don't be afraid to take a break or posture modification when you need it. And most importantly, have fun. So Sakina, we're going to turn it over to you.
Okay, there I am. I was wondering, where was I? Hi, everyone. I'm just gonna, I was gonna try to share my screen a little bit, but I don't think it's giving me the option. Let's see. Okay, I just wanted to share my screen a little bit. Hi, everyone. I'm Sakina Holden. And I am going to be presenting a Zumba class for you today, a short, quick Zumba class. But before I do that, we're going to get into the fitness and mental health tips, or rather, shall I say, how exercise can improve on your mental health. Okay, so I know we all are aware of the impact that the fitness has on the body, how it improves the body, but I'm sure most people have not considered the impact that fitness has on the mental health. So I'm going to go over a few tips to just explain that to you. First of all, fitness can boost your mood, improve your sleep, help combat depression, anxiety, stress, and other things. A regular fitness regimen gives you a sense of well-being and increased energy. Every little bit counts. Every small amount of exercise can give you a positive impact on your health, regardless of your age or fitness levels. Exercise can be used as a positive tool to increase your positive mental health, energy, outlook, and stress reduction. If you're finding it difficult to get started with exercising or getting motivated, try these tips. Start out with baby steps and set small goals. You can build from there. Start out with just doing 15 minutes of a workout and gradually increase from there. Find the best time for you to work out. So if you're a morning person and you have more energy in the morning, then work out in the mornings. If you're an evening person, do it in the evenings. And, with everybody working from home now, you can even do it, during the midday. Take a lunch break, go for a walk or something like that. And just do activities that you enjoy that get you moving. Some examples are walking, biking, hiking, Zumba, wear comfortable clothing. And most importantly, well, not most importantly, but what I enjoy is working out with friends and family. So, which is one of the reasons I thoroughly enjoy teaching Zumba, because we are all in this and partying together. So those are my tips, and let's get this party started. All right. So we're going to be doing a Caribbean music called soca music. It's a little high impact, but just go at your own pace. Take it back. So as I said, we're doing soca music.
Viking
We have wine
game.
game.
Dirty bad mind don't like we on the road, you know.
Rolling up.
Don't like when we buy expensive clothes, you know. Clothes, you know. At the party, let me party. Backstage general on VIP. Party don't stop, yeah, sober. Ready to go home, no stop. Sweat mash up, no stop drink and I must catch up. From the time I touch, one girl, 10 girl, nothing on.
Oh Lord, Trini loves the party.
We go pay what we love it when it's free. Good food and drinks in a cooler.
Hey,
Me show
come
you
tell me.
we outside.
Hey, hey.
For a long time, yeah. No fight, yeah, yeah. All night, yeah, yeah. 'Cause we outside. For a long time, yeah. No fight, yeah, yeah. All night, yeah. Watch me go. We knock a out. We knock a bottle. We knock a bottle. Knock a bottle. Knock a bottle.
Hey.
Dance, cause trouble. Things nice when you
Wait.
bubbling.
Now.
We knock a bottle. We knock a bottle. Knock a bottle. Knock a bottle. Just dance, cause trouble. Things nice when the girl them bubbling. Watch the girl them bubbling.
Hip, hip. Hooray.
She stick it out like that bullet. Must take a wine on you today. At a party, let me party. Backstage general on VIP. Party don't stop, yeah, sober. Damnation, no soca.
Oh Lord.
Sweat mash up, no stand drink and I must catch up. From the time I touch, one girl, 10 girl, nothing. Trini
That's the party.
we
Hey.
love it when it's free. Good food and drinks in a cooler. Put the party up.
Here we go. 'Cause we outside.
For a long time, yeah. No fight, yeah, yeah, yeah. All night, yeah, yeah. 'Cause we outside.
For a long time. Yeah.
No fight, yeah, yeah, yeah. All night, yeah. Watch me good. We knock a out.
Hey,
We knock a bottle. We knock a bottle. Knock a bottle. Knock a bottle. Touch dance, cause trouble. Things nice when you bubbling. Knock a out. We knock a bottle. We knock a bottle. Knock a bottle. Knock a bottle. Touch dance, cause trouble. Things nice when the girl them bubbling. Bubbling, 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 bubbling. Bubbling, fighting ding dong.
All right. Take it up a little bit.
Boom! Boom shots! Yow, yow! Yeah! Come on! The world that's burn up! Burn up, burn up, burn
No
up!
impact.
Burn up!
Just step it out.
Burn up, burn up! The world that's burn up! Burn up,
Burn up, burn up.
burn up, burn up!
Hey.
Burn up, burn up! Do what you want! Do
Who you want?
show anything you want! Do what you want!
Everybody.
Jump up, jump up, jump up, raise, jump up, jump up, jump up, raise. I have the right to drink around. If I want to drink around, I have the right to jump around. If I feel to jump around, if I feel to shake the fence, I could more than shake the fence. If you look at evidence, I will show you evidence. The barber soul barricade broke down. We don't have no behavior, we don't care at all. And we jamming, jamming,
Jamming, jamming, jamming.
you don't know how to
Hey, hey.
oh, that's burn up, 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 burn up. The world that's burn up, 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 burn up. Do what you want, do what you want, mash up anything you want. Do what you want.
Everybody.
Jump up, jump up, jump up, raise, jump up, jump up, jump up, raise. I have the right to carry on. If I feel to carry on, have the right to wind up on something. It's carnival after all.
Hey.
If you jump up on the stage, I will jump up on the stage. If you're looking for madness, well, I will show you madness. Look, the barber soul barricade broke down. We don't have no behavior, we don't care at all. And we jamming, 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 jamming. You don't know how to pay. The world that's burn up, burn up, burn up, burn up, burn up, burn up, burn up.
Burn up, burn up.
The world that's burn up, 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 in the face. Slackness in the body. Slackness in the body. Slackness in the body. Slackness in the body. Even if you have a man, let we take a man. Forget the confusion.
Get right down.
Give me your mama.
Hey!
So all of the guys who come right, let me see your
Raise your hand.
all of the guys who come right, let me see you raise your hand. Put it up, now. Lady challenge, do it. Show it. Do it.
Hey, wait.
Progress. Do it, yeah. Show it, yeah. Do it.
Shake it up.
Shake it up in the face.
Hey!
Tap in the face. Shake it up in the face. Shake it up in the face. Slackness in the body. Slackness in the body. Slackness in the body. Slackness in the body. Right.
All right.
Oh Lord.
Time to go down. Yeah.
Good Lord. Everybody let me see you clap those hands. Come on, let me see you clap those hands. Everybody let me see you clap those hands. Come on, let me see you clap those hands. I'll tell you how it is.
Tell you I love you.
I'll tell you
I like to sing too.
how it, Lord. Tell you about it. Oh Lord, Lord. I am a legally Bantamanta. What can I Bantamanta? As soon as carnival done this year, when I just start catching fever. When the doctor come diagnose me, tell me what the world is not thinking. It's just illusions and illusions of the thinking, so they can help me. Every time I hear a police siren, I'm thinking it's a start. Coming to take me to the next venue, so my performance will not be short. When I see a big truck in front of stage, thinking it's awesome this. It's a big dump truck passing with red sand in it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how it, tell you how it, I'll tell you how it,
Like
tell you how it, yeah. Everybody let me see you clap those hands. Come on, let me see you clap those hands. Everybody let me see you clap those hands. Come on, let me see you clap those hands. I'm the jumping on the road we try. The with my woman on my right hand side. All my friends and them from outside. Who from north and who from south side. I'm just jumping with the man in gold. I'm calling me and in gold. When the girl them bumpers are roll. And the marking bumpers to hold. When they gonna go out and buy something, all I see is Juve. When the blue devils them bumper and in the black in round to get paid. And when I see a big truck in Port of Spain, thinking it's drive on this. It's a big dump truck passing with red sand in it. Lord, I'll tell you how it, tell you how it,
roll it up.
tell you how it, Lord, tell you how it, yeah.
Okay, Sakina, thank you so much. That was wonderful. What great energy. And now we're going to turn it over to Dr. Wellington to kick us off about mental health in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month. And then he'll turn it over to our registered dietitian, Sherma. Both are from Prince George's County Health Department.
Oh, great, great. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well this evening. I have to get some time out. That was a great workout. Thank you, Shima, for that. Appreciate that. That was great. Yeah, my name is Dr. Roderick Wellington, coming from the Prince George's County Health Department. I want to have basically a brief conversation with you all this evening in regards to mental health. But before we go there, if we could all take just 20 seconds of a moment of silence and again pray and be thankful for the unfortunate incident that happened in Texas yesterday. Great, thank you so much, everyone. Again, what I'm going to be briefly doing tonight is basically just doing that, having a quick conversation with you. And we're going to be talking about the 5 pillars of mental health. And the 5 pillars of mental health are sleep, nutrition, mindfulness, exercise, and communication. Again, that's sleep, nutrition, mindfulness, exercise, and communication. All very important methods of helping us keep our psyche and our mental health going. Let's start with sleep first, but I'm gonna give you a brief introduction. It's hard to separate our physical and mental well-being. There's something to be said about that, striving to achieve and maintain a balance between both in our lives. And in general, we have busy lives today. We're juggling jobs, we're juggling school, we're juggling the kids, we're doing a lot of things. Then we got to put some entertainment in there. So we're juggling a lot. And so we're going to look at several forms of information and resources for us to use so that we can take care of our physical and our mental. We're going to start out with sleep. Just remember when your parents, or you all now as parents, you want to get your kids into bed at a certain time. And there was a reason for that, because the body really functions on something, a consistency. Their body wants to be consistent. I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. Sometimes I can't shut it down now. Even on weekends, sometimes my body is still up at 5 a.m. It means a routine is the key to establishing a healthy and effective sleep cycle. And as falling asleep and waking up as a part of your sleep cycle, you should pay attention to that. A lot of us, we probably do this, we don't pay attention, but we have a TV in our bedroom. A lot of times they recommend that we don't have a TV in our bedroom because what? We're going to watch it. And some people sleep with the TV on and the light on. But what it does is continues to let your brain cycles move and work. So you want to shut that television off. You want to shut your cell phone off. You want to shut everything off when it's time to go to bed. There shouldn't be any distractions when it's time for bed. That's why they call it a bedroom. So you can go to sleep and get your body the rest that it needs. Great. Let's go on to the next one. Let's talk about nutrition. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about nutrition later, but just to know that nutrition is very important to your body and that the body affects and the overall health and the wellness of your body. But we're going to, Sherman is going to come back and talk to us a little bit more about nutrition in the presentation. So we're going to talk about mindfulness. A lot of us wonder, what is mindfulness? And mindfulness and meditation can have a significant position and impact on our health and our brain and our body and our mental health. But basically, mindfulness is basically being present at the moment. And you remember what your teacher used to tell you when you were in middle school or in elementary? She's like, Johnny, Marie, you're not paying attention. And so what she was saying to us, y'all, is that we're not focusing. We're not focusing on what she was saying or what someone else was saying up on the board. So being mindful is going on, or knowing what's going on in your surroundings at all times. And practicing mindfulness and meditation helps you feel more in control of your emotions and allows you to calmly respond to them, opposed to react to them. So that's what I want to do with myself. I want to be in control of the things I say and the things I do at all times. And the way you do that is to be mindful of who you are. And so every morning before I leave the home, I do my meditation, do my prayers, and I know what I'm getting ready to embark on when I leave out the house, whether it's school, work, having a full schedule. I'm also a professor at Bowie State University. I have to be mindful of what my next endeavor is going to be. So mindfulness is really important, and we definitely have to stay attuned to that. And again, like we said, we have a lot of things going on in our lives. So again, we know that being in tune with your brain cells and what they're doing is very important, y'all. Let's talk about exercise. Exercise is really important. And we all hear about getting 30 minutes, but like Shima said, take little steps, bit by bit. So humans are not meant to sit all day. Just look at how happy children are when they're on the playground. They're moving around, they're running outside, they're playing with their friends, they're jumping in and climbing things. Try to activate about 30 minutes each day of your time, whether going for a brisk walk or doing virtual fitness classes or even yoga. There's so many things that we can be movement of. So you don't want to stay. Some offices are now having the desk where you stand up. You stand up instead of sitting down all day. So just move your body, move around. If you're getting the heart rate, up, you're on the right track. Get that body moving, just like we just did with the video. 10 or 15 minutes of getting that body moving. You can do another 15 minutes later on today. You don't have to do it all at one time. Sometimes we get into the notion that we have to get in 30 minutes or 45 minutes, an hour. Even myself, I'm like, I don't have to do it all right now. Let me come back later on in the evening and get this done as well. So definitely think about your exercise and how you incorporate that into your daily function. It can be hard, again, because I know our daily routines are packed up to the hill, but find a way that we can get that exercise in. I could talk to you all day about exercise and mental health, but it's very important because of coming through 2 years of COVID. A lot of us were stuck in the house. We were virtually working from home. We didn't get a chance to get out and get a chance to move. We hear a lot of people talking about, I put on 10 pounds, 15 pounds because of COVID. Start to get back out and moving. And let's talk about, last but not least, let's talk about communication. Being social is a large part of what makes us humans. Being social while staying safe is extremely important in our time of COVID, now post-COVID, not totally post-COVID, but find new and exciting ways to interact with your family and your friends. Whether you're coming out at a distance, you're keeping your distance, you're going to visit your grandparents, you're going to visit your children. But at the same token, I know when people are most depressed and they're feeling down, a lot of times they're by themselves. So I always recommend that if you're feeling depressed, pick up the phone, call someone, call a friend. Even the mobile crisis unit here in Prince George's County, we give you that number actually. It's 301-429-2185. And I'll repeat that. It's 301-429-2185. And that's the Prince George's County Crisis Hotline. If you're going through something, you don't have anyone to call, you can't find anyone to call that number. The Prince George's County, and actually the country, is about to come up with a new number, and it's going to be rolling out. So stay tuned. And sometime in July, it's going to be the 988 number. That 988 number is going to replace a lot of the calls for mental health that goes into 911. Because it's not maybe a dire emergency, you can call 911. And that number will be able to help you get through some of the crises that you might be dealing with. And thank you for putting that in the chat room. But again, remember and look out for 911 is coming. Because again, what I want to say to you all, yes, Mental Health Month is May, but this is a conversation we need to have ongoing all the time. Mental health is vital in our daily existence. We need to break the stigma, of course, in the African-American community. No one wants to talk about mental health. Oh, Uncle John or Aunt Sally, are they upstairs in their room? Why are they upstairs in their room? Why do they want to come home? Is it something biological or is it environmental? Those are the two main things that help us with our psyche. Something in our system that we cannot control, or something in our environment we cannot control. But we need to seek help. There's a lot of help out. They're going to be sending you out some information in regards to the what we do at Prince George's County Health Department at the local behavioral health authority. So many different things we do. So that's going to come out to everybody in the email. They're going to send that information out. Again, be in tune with your mental health. Know where to go to seek help. And I implore everyone to talk to your friends and talk to your family. It's been great to be able to come and give you that short, quick information. But again, I'm Dr. Wellington, and you all have a great evening.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Wellington, for that 5 pillars. That was great. I really listened and would follow some of that instructions. You know, we always hear about eating healthy for physical wellness, but it's also important to eat healthy for mental wellness also. Take care of your mind, your body with proper nutrition. So today I'll be with you for a few minutes on what foods for proper nutrition and mental health. Next slide, please. How do we improve your mood with food? Look at the time that we are eating. When we eat, a lot of times we take a long time, we miss our breakfast meal or dinner meals because we are in a rush for everything. How do you feel when you miss a meal? I remember one time I'm in the cafeteria and a lady behind me was fussing about it. Everybody was taking too long. So I turned around and I said, okay, you go ahead in front of me. She said, really? I said, yes. I said, obviously you didn't have breakfast. She said, how did you know? I said, in my mind, by the way you were acting. When we stay too long to eat, our brain is not functioning in the way it should. We get anxious, we get agitated. It affects our mental attitude. So be mindful of your timing with your meals. And what do you put on your plate when you get it? Fill your plate with healthy foods that will support your moods. And I would say use a lot more green vegetables and fruits. Our plate method is one of the best way to start off. Half your plate with vegetables, all different colors, add the rainbow colors, add the cue. Try foods that are close to what it's supposed to be like. If you're eating apple or pears or vegetables, make sure it looks like that and not comes in a package. A lot of time we eat foods that are processed and you're looking at a box and at the back of the label, there is 20 different ingredients that was added to the vegetable or whatever the food item is. So be mindful of, try to stick with what foods naturally looks like. This way, you know what an apple looks like, what a banana looks like. It doesn't come in a box and it doesn't have 15 different ingredients on there. Processed foods is a problem. We have to be mindful of what's in it. We are looking at trying to get foods that are high in dopamine, omega-3s, and magnesium. These foods help our system. It helps our metabolism. It gives us more confidence. It helps to motivate us in different ways. A lot of times what we try to do is to get these foods in a pill form. When we buy these mega doses of vitamins, you look at the labels first. A lot of times, let's say for instance, magnesium, you only need about 400 milligrams of magnesium. But when you look at the labels, it will have 10 times the amount. Do you actually need to have vitamins that is 500% more than what the RDA, which is the daily allowance, the recommended daily allowance is? Be mindful of that. We are putting in all the stuff in our bodies, and what happens? You put more stress on your kidney and it comes out in your urine. So you have a healthy toilet rather than a healthy brain. So be mindful of these, when you buy these mega doses of vitamins, they're selling all these different vitamins or supplements to enhance your brains. You can eat the food. That is what your body needs. Your body is created to break down the natural foods, not the processed foods. When we add all these sugars to our food sources, what it does, it makes you tired. It makes you sleepy. You have no energy. You think that it's going to give you energy, but no, it saps your system. So we need to go back and try to get foods that are more healthy, foods that are high in your vitamin D and your calcium rich, which helps to build your bones up. That's what we are looking for. And making sure that our whole family is eaten within these parameters. Today, we're going to have a chef who's going to look at the recipes that she has. You're going to find some foods that are really great to building your immune system and your moods. Most of your dark green leafy vegetables, your greens, your kales, your spinach, your collards, your broccoli, those are excellent sources of magnesium, B complex vitamins, and iron. So try to get these in. Try to get them because it will help your brain. When people get depressed, they begin to just focus on things that are quick and easy. So sugar is the quickest thing because sugar gives them a false sense of, oh, I feel good. And then you go flat again. So make sure that you fight the depression with your folic acid, your B complex vitamins, your beans, your peas, and your lentils. That's what we are looking at. Our next slide will give us an idea of food choices. And this is the foods that boost your moods. You know, your cherries. These are very good sources of antioxidants, and they're healthy. Snack on your nuts. You don't have to eat a whole lot of it. I would just say a handful. If it could fit in the palm of your hands, use it as a serving, not the whole package. Okay? Your broccoli, your cabbage, those are excellent sources of boosting your mood and your immune system. Try to cut back on the processing and the packaging of food, the caffeine, the high fat. When you look at our mood boosting foods, you rarely see too much of red meats there, but you'll see more fish in the fish oils. You'll see the fruits, the olive oils. We need to have fats, but we need to have a better quality fats that are in the omega-3 fatty acids and not the saturated fats. The saturated fats, you know what it does. It creates more heart problems. So it's not good for our heart. So we need to just go by the olive oils if you want to make some changes. Try those omega-3 fatty acids, your fish oils. If you're using the sardines and your salmons, those are excellent sources of trying to build up your omega-3s. Protein is good for you, but again, try to get those that are excellent plant-based protein and less animal source protein. I'm going to stop now because I know you have some questions and we will be willing to answer. I'm sure you have questions for Dr. Wellington and I, unless we did such an excellent job.
All right, Sharma, we have a question for you. Rebecca asks, what are examples of dopamine building food?
Great questions. Those are foods that are the greens, like the kale, spinach, collards. They are also foods that are high in vitamin K and folate. So your dark green leafy vegetables, your dark vegetables are excellent sources of dopamine building. And what dopamine does, it helps with the neurotransmitter in the brain. So it helps with the mental health. It builds up more confidence and more motivation, and it helps you learn with, help you with your learning. Sometimes, and usually sometimes you will find it also in whole wheat or whole grain supplements. That's another alternative.
All right, the next question is, are raisins a good source of fiber?
Yes, raisins and prunes are good sources of fiber. The problem is how much of it, because it has a little bit more concentrated sugars, so you have to go by the portion control with those.
Okay. Can you cook fresh salmon and freeze it for later use?
Yes, you can. And our chef, Natalie, will give you best on that. She's more on the cooking side of it. She's a registered licensed nutritionist, just as I am. But yes, you can freeze any foods, depending on how long you want to freeze it for.
Okay. Next question is, the best packaged food should say non-GMO and organic, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are examples of superfoods? AARP speaks about these with big vitamins and minerals.
Oh, great. That's a good question. Superfoods are foods that helps with your with healthy brains. They could be your nuts, your apples, your avocados, your cocoa beans. It could be squash. It's a whole list of these. And I will also send a list of out with superfoods for those who have registered, because it's quite a long list. Your mushroom, spinach, your romaine lettuce, collards, chickpeas, chard. They are all superfoods.
Okay. Before we go on to this question on mental health, we'll ask, can you redefine organic, natural, and non-GMO?
Okay. Organic, usually the FDA has specified what is organic, and it has to meet certain specification by when we say organic. It is not, the soil has to be, make sure there is no pesticides used from the soil to when that food is being planted. So the FDA do give you some specific guidelines on when it says organic, and the supermarket has to follow those guidelines. It should, I shouldn't say have to, but that it is recommended that they should follow those guidelines. And also the non-GMO is, you have to make sure that these plant-based, or is this artificially produced?
Okay, thank you, Sharma. All right, next question. Is there a site that shows what to eat per day that gives you the equivalent of the RDA of everything?
Yes, you can go, CDC has one, guidelines, the American eatright.org is also a site, and that you can go and will give you guidelines. Even the American Heart Association also has a list of healthy eating principles that are guidelines that you can eat. It will specify the caloric range for your age group and also what the plate method looks like.
Okay. All right, we have a few more questions, but just being mindful of time. How many more questions should we ask you, Sharma, before we move on to the mental health question? Sharma, how many questions do you have time for?
Oh, I can answer another question. I don't know how many for mental health, so I can answer another question.
Okay, all right, so we'll answer one more question on nutrition. What are mushrooms and chickpeas good for?
Oh,
chicory good for?
Okay, chickpea is a good source of protein and fiber. You can use, especially if you're a vegetarian or you're trying to go plant-based, you can get excellent source of fiber from your chickpeas. And mushroom is also excellent. It's very low in calories, and it's high in some antioxidants. So you can use it. It depends also on the type of mushrooms that you buy.
Okay, thank you. And the question on mental health was, how should we check on people regarding mental health?
Yes, that would be a part of the communication portion of the presentation, is that your family or friend check in on them. Ask the important questions, especially if you know they have a history of mental health. You ask specific questions. How are you doing today? Have you taken your medication today? Have you went to work today? Have you gone to school? So you have specific questions pertaining to that individual, and the individual, would know how to ask that question because you know the history of that individual. But you check on a person on a regular basis, and especially if you know if they're dealing with something. A parent the other day asked me, how do I talk to my 6-year-old who said, Mommy, what am I going to do when you die? What does a 6-year-old know about someone dying? It's because what they're hearing and what's going on in our immediate surroundings. So we have to be ready to communicate and talk with them.
All right, thank you, Dr. Wellington.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? If there's no other mental health questions, and there's another nutrition, I will be willing to answer.
So we'll answer these last two nutrition questions. The first one is cholesterol is a problem. Is salt a culprit and is sugar a culprit? And the person said they like the Mediterranean diet and Mind menus.
Great. The Mediterranean diet is an excellent way to go if you're also trying to cut back on your cholesterol. What we would recommend is sodium content should be around 2,000 milligrams of sodium for the day. Look at your labels to see what the sodium content is on the packages. And that's why we say processing foods are not as healthy, because they add sodium. So look at it. Sometimes a can of Campbell's soup has 2,000 milligrams of sodium in it. And that's just one meal. So if you use that and you have other meals, what your sodium content will be. So that is high. And as far as heart disease or cholesterol problems, yes, sodium is a culprit. We have to watch your sodium, your fats, and your sugars. So keep the saturated fats down. Try more of the Mediterranean plant-based meals of protein, and that would help. Know what medications that you're taking on also, and speak to your physician or see a registered nutritionist, dietitian on getting an individual meal plan. And as I said, you can go to eatright.org or the American Heart Association. They also have some sample meals that are excellent.
Okay. And the last question is coconut oil good for dementia?
There have been some studies and research that shows that one physician had her husband testing a small amount of coconut oil. It helps to affect some of the brain changes, the waves in the brain. I am not a physician, but I only know about that study, that it does help with the brain and dementia, Alzheimer's. So they have seen, the study shows that the participant was able to rearrange after 6 weeks of using the coconut oil study, that they were able to look at the clock and say the time, the correct time, when previously they were unable to. So I am not, I cannot say yes, it does, but there's some studies that shows that coconut oil do have some reverse in dementia and Alzheimer's.
And this last question we'll take, and then we'll get started with the cooking demonstration. Is the Prince George's County Health Department mental health unit walk-in, or does it need appointments? What is their schedule?
Basically, what the LBH, the Local Behavioral Health Authority for the Health Department, what we do is mainly a research or a referral source. So we don't take any clients and we don't do any direct services. So when you call our number, which I'm going to give you, they will direct you to whom you can contact and you can call for services. So let me give you that number. But there's no direct service for mental health within the health department itself. 1 second. Okay, let's see. That number is 301-856-9500. Repeat, 301-856-9500. And they will connect you to what office or what system you need to talk to in reference to receiving mental health treatment.
Well, thank you for those questions. They were excellent.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wellington and Sharma. We learned about achieving balance in our lives and about foods that boost our mood. And now we're going to turn it over to Chef Natalie as we welcome her back for our live cooking demo. Don't forget, Jasmine's still here to share your questions, so please continue to use the chat box feature to type a cooking question for Natalie or a nutrition question for Sherma. We hope you're able to join us through the end of the demonstration. But if you must log off before 7:30, a link to our evaluation will pop up on your screen. We ask that you take just a few moments to complete it tonight so we can better serve you in the future as we plan our upcoming Dine, Learn, and Move sessions. Your feedback is very important to us and impacts our ability to continue bringing you this program virtually. All right, Chef Natalie, you are on.
Well, thank you so much, and welcome everybody to my kitchen. I'm at home today, and I'm so happy to share some quick and easy recipes with you. I know it's stressful at times to get a meal on the table, and taste is the #1 reason why we choose our food, but convenience, quick and easy is #2. And every generation cuts the cooking time down by half. And just looking at my own family, my grandmother lived on a farm in Georgia. So she would go outside, she would kill the chicken, she would milk the cow, pour the milk into the butter churn and churn the butter. She would go to the garden, pick the vegetables, wash them, clean them, cut them up, cook them. She'd break out the flour, make the biscuits. Well, then my father married my mother, who wasn't doing all that. She was going to the grocery store to get the chicken already killed and picking up the vegetables. Occasionally, she would make some biscuits, but not often. So something that took hours for my grandmother to get dinner on the table took about 1 hour for my mother to get it on the table. And I can do it in about 30 minutes. So I'm happy to share with you tonight some quick and easy recipes that are not only going to taste delicious, but they're going to be nutritious for you as well. So while I wash my hands, I want to ask you a question, and I want you to type the answer into the chat. So Sharma mentioned that a good source of nutrient-rich food is broccoli. And broccoli is considered to be a cruciferous vegetable. It's one of the key ingredients in one of the recipes that I'm going to share with you tonight. So type in the chat for me, what does it mean for it to be a cruciferous vegetable? And I'll be right back. So do I have any answers in the chat?
Yes, you have a few answers.
Okay.
So one person stated of the cabbage family.
Cabbage family, absolutely, is part of the cruciferous vegetables. Absolutely.
Okay, a couple more responses. It has roughage. It grows in a clump like cauliflower. It's a crunchy vegetable. It's a whole food. It's crunchy. It's a branch stalk food.
Absolutely. So cauliflower, cabbage, kale, like broccoli, are all cruciferous. Now, what does it mean for something to be a crucifix?
Cross-shaped is the response.
Absolutely. So cruciferous vegetables come from a cross-shaped 4-petal plant. So if you were to get a head of cauliflower or broccoli and it still had the leaves attached, if you turned it over and you looked at the stem, you would see the shape of the cross. The cruciferous vegetables have some potent protective nutrients out there for us. So not only important for our mental health, but things like reducing the risk of cancer and heart disease. So one of the things you were reminded of to do for us tonight is to complete the survey at the end. We had some requests from last month that I definitely wanted to incorporate in the recipes that I'm preparing this evening. So one was vegetables that will be in season, like spring and summer, So I chose broccoli, and we're gonna do a broccoli salad. Another thing was in terms of recipes that would be helpful when it comes to managing your diabetes or your blood pressure. And this is a prime example. So in the bowl, I have some broccoli florets that I have washed and cut up. We're gonna add some red onion that has been finely diced. We're gonna add some dried cherries. You can do dried cranberries, you can do raisins. And I have some sunflower seeds here that I toasted in a frying pan for about 5 minutes. The oils that are naturally in here help to bring out the flavor. It toasts them up nicely. So we're gonna add this to the salad as well. Sharma mentioned earlier in her presentation that dopamine was good in terms of our mental health, and sunflower seeds, nuts, they're all good sources of that dopamine for us. Gonna grate a little bit of sharp cheddar cheese. And I like to use a block of cheese as opposed to cheese that's already grated for you. When they grate it, they add things to prevent it from clumping together. So usually it's kind of like a flour mixture, and it will change the texture of the salad a little bit and also the flavor. So, and I also like to think this is part of my workout, just grating cheese into the bowl. Now, dairy foods like cheese and yogurt are good sources of tyrosine, and in the body, when it goes through digestion, it's converted into dopamine. Now, because the cheese is a source of fat, you just want to be mindful about how much that you're going to put into the salad. So this recipe only calls for about half a cup of grated cheese in there. We're gonna make a dressing for the salad. And I'm sorry, I wanted to tell you a reason I chose extra sharp cheese is the sharper the cheese, the stronger the flavor. So you can use a lot less and still have that same great flavor. So the dressing for the salad is olive oil, and that's what I have here in my cup. I'm gonna add some garlic. Gonna add a little bit of honey. Gonna add some Dijon mustard. And we're gonna add a little bit of red wine vinegar. So I'm just gonna scrape the mustard and the honey off the spoon.
So we have a question in the chat box. Do you recommend, do you recommend a non-dairy alternative to the cheese, or just leave it out?
You could do a non-dairy alternative, so a vegan cheese made from like coconut milk, for example, would be fine. I have nieces that are vegans, and I've done it with that, and they've loved it just as well. Or you can just leave it out as well, if you want to make this dish to be vegan. Vegans don't have any animal products. So in addition to leaving the cheese out, you would also leave out the honey and use some other plant-based sweetener. So I'm just gonna pour the dressing over the salad. I'm gonna toss that together. And you want it to kind of marinate the flavors a little bit. I'd say at least for about 20 minutes. You can do it up to overnight. So I'm just gonna cover it. I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator while we do work on the next dish. So quick and easy Dish number 1. So I'm just gonna swap out the trays. Get ready for the next recipe. We're gonna do a beef and lamb lettuce wrap. So in the bowl, I have some lean ground beef and I have some lean ground lamb. Now you could use other lean protein sources. And my second question, if you could type the answer in the chat, when you go to the grocery store, how would you know that a cut of meat was lean? What do you want to look for?
So there are a few responses in the chat box. So you want to look for less fat, percentage on the package, percentage of fat in the meat, more color, less white, percent of fat, fat content, not too much white stuff, percentage of fat, amount of fat, 90% lean, no fat, marble, marbleized.
So what you want to look for when it says that it's 90% lean or that it has 10% fat, they're talking about if you put it on the scale and you weighed it. So it could still be a high fat food. You want to look at the name of the cut of meat that's printed on the label. If it has loin or round in the meat, it is considered to be lean, and it's just as lean as like a skinless poultry, like skinless chicken. So if you ever saw the commercials for pork the other white meat, there are 8 cuts of pork that are just as lean as skinless chicken. The key is that they'll have loin or round in the name. So this is beef sirloin, and this is the loin for the veal. And I like the mix of these two just about the flavor. And so because they are lean, you want to add some other ingredients to bump up the flavor. So I have some red onion. I have some fresh parsley that I have just cut up really small. I have some mint, because I always like mint and lamb. I have some spices here. I have some cinnamon, and I have some allspice.
Before you continue with the recipe, we have a question about the broccoli salad. Can dried cranberries be used instead of the dried cherries?
Absolutely, you can use any dried fruit. Could be cranberries, could be cherries, could be raisins. I like it with even dried mango or dried peaches. They're all good. It gives the dried fruit, as Sharma mentioned, is a concentrated source of sugar. So it gives it a little sweetness. The key is just to be mindful about how much you put in there. I have 1 egg here that's been lightly beaten. I'm gonna add a little black pepper. I'm gonna add just a little bit of salt. And the last thing that I'm gonna add is some breadcrumbs. So Sharma was talking about dopamine and where we could get it. And she mentioned whole grains in terms of our mental health. This is some whole grain oatmeal bread. So if you're looking to do something with that last piece of bread, just gonna put it into a food processor and you make your own breadcrumbs. So we're just gonna mix all this together. So I put gloves on. I I like to use my hands when I'm mixing things like ground meat with other ingredients. You don't want to over mix it because it can make it really tough. The egg and the bread will help to keep it moist. The seasonings that we added, the allspice, the cinnamon, the fresh herbs like the mint and the parsley is going to add flavor. So we're just going to make little meatballs. And I usually like for them to be about a tablespoon, because then they are about 1 ounce. And this recipe allows you to have three of these lettuce wraps. So a serving of meat is about 3 ounces. So I have a pan on the stove with a little bit of olive oil. We're just going to put them in here and cook them until they're brown. So just want to wash my hands, bring over the next ingredients. So someone had mentioned about Mediterranean diet, and those have been associated with being healthy in terms of heart health, cancer risk reduction, good source of helping us to manage our diabetes. And this is a good example of some typical Mediterranean foods. Good sources of vegetables, whole grains, lean protein sources. So for the lettuce wrap, we have our meatballs going here. We want to make a sauce for the lettuce wrap. And the sauce is going to have yogurt in there for us. We're going to have a little bit of some diced cucumber and some onion and a little bit of salt and pepper.
Chef Natalie, as you continue, we have 2 quick questions. The first question is, what's a comment that a colleague stated that wheat bread exacerbates fibroids in women? So Ezekiel bread, if that's a better option based on nutritional value.
They both have good sources of nutrient for you. It's more about preference. When you look at the ingredients for bread, you're looking for whole grains. The word whole should be in the title. When Sharma was mentioning that we don't want to have so many things done to our food, when it's whole, it means that it's minimally processed. So there is a husk that surrounds the grain. So think about like corn. Corn has a husk. If the only thing you removed, it would be a whole grain. But once you start peeling away other layers of that plant, you start losing nutrients that are associated with it, the fiber, the vitamins, the minerals.
Okay, thank you. And the next question was, do herbs have an expiration date?
They do have an expiration date. I use fresh herbs. They usually only last maybe a week if they've been cut in the refrigerator. I like to keep mine in a glass of water. So in my refrigerator, this was the parsley. I just put it in a glass of water. Think of it like a plant. When it's cut, like if you had flowers, you would keep them in the water and you would change the water. You want to do the same thing with the herbs. The mint was in a package, so you only really have a short shelf life. You can always freeze fresh herbs, especially if you're going to use them in something that you're going to cook. But so like the meatballs that we're making today, but in things that you want it to be fresh, like a salad, you wouldn't want it to be frozen. You can always use dried. Dried is concentrated, so you use less, about half. So if the recipe calls for a teaspoon, you would use like a half a teaspoon of the dried. So for our dressing for the lettuce wrap, in the bowl, I have some yogurt. I'm going to add some cucumber. And I like to use English cucumbers. Those are the ones that are long, they're thin. They have less seeds in there. The seeds will add a lot of water to the dressing. But you can use a regular cucumber, either remove some of the seeds or just be mindful that it may be thinner. We're going to add some red onion. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt. So we'll just mix this together and we'll have this ready for our meatballs. Put that to the side. Now for the lettuce wraps, I'm using a Boston lettuce. They sometimes refer to it as butter lettuce or bib lettuce. What I like about it is that it's firm, so it will hold any food that you put in there. Now, I like to layer some brown rice, which is another whole grain, onto the lettuce wrap. I put some in the microwave. This is just a package of pre-cooked whole grain brown rice. You can always cook some brown rice that's out of a package, knowing that it is a whole grain. It is going to take a little bit longer for the water to penetrate through it. So when you have things like white rice, it may take about 20 minutes. Brown rice is going to take a little bit longer. This one cooks in about 90 seconds.
Chef Natalie, can you use plain yogurt or Greek yogurt?
You can use, I like to use Greek yogurt because it is a little thicker. You can use plain yogurt. That works just fine. Greek yogurt is just like plain yogurt, except for they have drained off some of the water. So to the brown rice, I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil. And we're gonna add a little bit of paprika. Now, you're supposed to keep all of your red spices in the refrigerator. That helps to keep the flavor as well as the nutrient value.
Okay, another question. How healthy are those packaged grains compared to home cooked?
They're equally as healthy. The ones, and that's where it's really important to take a look at the label on the back to see what else has been added. A lot of packaged foods, they will add sodium. So the sodium content will be high. This particular one didn't have any sodium added. It was just cooked brown rice with water. So we have our meatballs cooking. We have our dressing for our lettuce wraps ready and our lettuce ready to go, and the rice. So now it's just about assembling. So we have our Boston lettuce or bib lettuce or butter leaf lettuce. Those are all the same. I'm gonna put a little bit of that brown rice, olive oil, paprika mixture onto the leaves. I made some meatballs earlier. I have some that are ready. Gonna top it with the yogurt sauce.
Okay, we have a question. How long should you keep the broccoli salad in the refrigerator?
About a half hour up to overnight. Then we're gonna serve it with another little toss of the salad. Get the dressing on there. And we're gonna serve the lettuce wraps with our broccoli salad. So we have our lettuce wraps and our broccoli salad dishes. Turn these off, they don't burn. I wanted to share with you some of the nutrition for both of the dishes that you had this evening. So first, when it came to the broccoli salad, a serving is a cup, and a cup has about 150 calories in there. It has 10 grams of carbs, and it has 4 grams of fiber. When it comes to the lettuce wraps, and you get 3 of them with the 3 ounces of meat and the sauce, the yogurt sauce on top, along with the rice, 380 calories, 25 grams of carbohydrate, and 3 grams of fiber. Good sources of nutrients that are important for our mental health, but also excellent sources of nutrients to help to regulate your risk of having cancer, to lower your risk of having cancer. Whole grains and the vegetables and the fruit and the seeds that are in there as well. And also nutrient-rich foods that are going to help to regulate your blood pressure. If you have hypertension, it's potassium-rich foods that are found in whole foods like the broccoli, the whole grain brown rice that's in the lettuce wrap, as well as the whole grain bread that was used as the breadcrumb to make the meatballs. Low-fat dairy, like the yogurt that's part of the sauce, as well as the cheese that was grated into the broccoli salad. Good sources of calcium that are also important in helping to regulate our blood pressure. So I wish you were here to smell how delicious it smells in the kitchen. So between the allspice, the cinnamon, the mint that is in the meatballs, it smells delicious. And I wish even more so that you had an opportunity to taste it, the dishes that were made tonight. So I'm happy to take any questions that you had on any of the dishes that were made this evening.
So one question that was recently asked is, what other proteins can be used for the meatballs?
Yeah, so you could go meatless altogether, and typically the meatless meats are soy-based proteins. You could go with a poultry, like a chicken or turkey, but the key is to keep it lean and low fat. So for example, if you go with a poultry product like ground turkey or ground chicken, make sure it says ground turkey breast or ground chicken breast. If it doesn't say breast in the title, they grind up not only the meat, but the skin and the fat as well. And it will be more fattier than the meat, like the beef or the lamb.
Okay, another question, what about a tofu substitute?
You probably could. I haven't used tofu for this recipe. The key is making sure that it has something that's going to keep it together. So that's where the breadcrumbs come into play. The egg comes into play as well. The tofu doesn't really have a flavor. So I would bump up the ingredients that were adding flavor to the meatball, like the onions, the spices, like the allspice and the cinnamon that was used, the mint, the parsley, I would add more of that. Somebody was asking about freezing salmon in the previous segment, and these meatballs freeze really well. Foods don't last forever in the refrigerator, in the freezer, in our cabinets, in our pantries. So we just want to be mindful of that. Frozen foods, you want to use them within 3 months. So don't keep them in there forever. There's a commercial that I love where I think it's for insurance, and they were talking about what was in somebody's freezer. And they asked the person, what do you think it is? He said, it's a meatball, or whatever he thought it wasn't right, because he couldn't even remember what it was. It had been in there so long. Write on the packages of food when you put them in the freezer, what they are and the date that you put them in the freezer. Just be mindful about how long you're keeping your food in the refrigerator, the freezer, and in your pantry. A good tool is something called the Food Keeper. It is a brochure that they typically have at the supermarket. It's a free brochure that you can get in the supermarket where they have recipe cards. Typically, you'll find it there. There's an app as well as a website for it. It's called the Food Keeper. Tells you how long to keep different foods in those areas, in the refrigerator, in the freezer, or in your pantry.
Okay. And we have a question, what about panko breadcrumbs?
Yeah, that's a good option. Same deal, just like when we were looking at what bread to use this evening, and we selected a whole grain bread. You want to look for whole grain breadcrumbs that are packaged. Panko is crunchy. Typically, you use panko when it's going to be on the outside of something, so you want it to have that crunchy kind of texture, but it will work in this recipe as well. You're going to need to add a little bit more moisture because it's dry. This was a fresh piece of bread, so it's softer and it helped to keep the meatballs moister. If you're going to use a dried product like a panko breadcrumb that's dried in a package, you're going to need to add some more moisture. Check out the sodium content, because if it's a seasoned breadcrumb in a package, it not only is going to have herbs to season it, but typically it's going to have salt. So the sodium content can be a little bit higher. Any other questions in the chat for me? Are these recipes that you might try at home?
Okay, we have a yes for sure, yes.
Awesome. These are seasonal vegetables for the spring and the summer, is the broccoli and the cucumber. It's always best to try to use vegetables and fruit that are in season, the ones that are locally grown, because they're going to have more nutrients in there for you. So when you go to the grocery store and you look at the sign where it says broccoli or apple or sweet potato, make sure that it says locally grown. That means that it was grown within a 30-mile radius of the store. If it doesn't say locally grown, that means it either came from some other parts of the country, like Florida or California, or even from other countries, and it has to get to us. So it comes via truck or train or boat or plane. And so they have to pick the products earlier, so by the time it reaches us, they haven't spoiled. So when they pick it earlier, it doesn't get to reach the peak of perfection. It doesn't get the maximum amount of nutrients. So locally grown is a great source of nutrient-rich vegetables and fruit. Another good place to get fruits and vegetables is from your local farmer's market. And they will have foods that are in season and that are grown within your community. So they're going to taste great. They're going to be great for you because they're going to be packed with nutrients.
All right, we'll take one final question on just in terms of time. Does locally grown mean organic?
It does not mean organic. Organic has to do with how much pesticides and the types of pesticides that are used. So the soil can't have a certain type or amount of pesticides in order for a food to be labeled as organic. So locally grown could use products that were not organic. And the key is just to make sure that you're washing off your fruits and your vegetables, so that if it had pesticides on there, that you're removing them. Well, thank you all very much. I look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you so much, Chef Natalie. And as Sherma always says, eat in color. Your plate looks so bright and vibrant and appetizing. And I'm still eating your recipes that you shared with us years ago. So I know that this one is gonna stand in my kitchen for the time to come. So we've had another great night with you all. We know you learned a lot and got to interact with our fitness and cooking demonstration. We want to hear more about your experience by taking just a few minutes to complete the evaluation as you log off. The survey is anonymous, but you do have the option of leaving your name at the end. Next month, we'll select a winner from those who have completed the evaluation as a token of our appreciation. The wheel you're about to
You're on mute, Kate.
Oh my God, no, really?
Now you're off.
Okay. Gosh. The wheel you'll see at the end is filled with names of those you completed in April. And for those who left their name at the end, you'll see your name on the wheel if you leave on next month's meal, if you leave your name on tonight's survey. So right now we'll celebrate an April participant who completed the evaluation. Savannah, go ahead and give that wheel a spin. All right, Miss Jean Johnson, congratulations. You are the lucky winner of a fitness kit that is going to have a resistance band, a salad cup, and some measuring cups, as well as a yoga mat. And the University of Maryland Capital Region Health will be in touch with you to make sure you get that prize. In the next few days, each of you will receive a follow-up email with a link to tonight's program, another copy of tonight's recipes, as well as all of the slides you've seen throughout the night. Dr. Wellington will also be sharing an additional mental health brochure with you, full of resources. So we hope everybody is equipped with what they need to stay healthy, active, and well throughout the next month before we see you again in June. So thanks for joining and have a great night.